Welcome to EDC Journeys. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Enjoy! What's going on, EDC people, and what's our journey today? I want to make a brief video, well, I don't know how brief it'll be, but we'll see, where I give my 2 cents on Spydercos. The Spydercos I currently own, obviously. Um, right now, that's 4 of them, and it's going to be 5 coming this week, I hope. Now, I will tell you the truth. I'm going to go through all 4 of these at once in one video. So it's not going to be quite like in depth on any one particular one. However, it will be uh, when I get the 5th one. I'll definitely be doing an unboxing, and we'll go over that one pretty thoroughly, especially as I use it. But there are 100,000 reviews of probably each of these knives out there on the interwebs and tubes currently, so I am not going to stress too much about giving a real huge review on it, as much as I am showing you what I have, telling you slightly some information about them. Some things I just took from the websites, such as the numbers. In an effort to try to make this a little bit shorter than than hand measuring and weighing each one. I just took those numbers off the websites, um, so that I could talk more. And then when I talk about the blades after I give you the facts, the numbers, I'll kind of just be spitballing and telling you what I think about them. Excuse me. So, uh, what I was saying is I do have notes on the side here telling me those numbers. I do not have these memorized, and again, in an effort to save time, I figured it'd be easier than measuring each one right here in front of you, which I could have done, but whatever. I was about to say in no particular order, but they're absolutely in a particular order. And that particular order is pretty much price. The first one here is the Spyderco Efficient. And I apologize at the angle I have you at. Let me pause this and raise you up a little bit. That might help. Okay, I have totally rearranged where I'm standing so that the shadows hopefully don't affect it so badly. So again, I'm going to go through these from left to right, and I'm going to get my little notepad I had over there so that I don't forget all this cool stats that you probably don't care about. But I am going to tell you anyways. So the first one on the left is I'm not sure, it's the Spyderco Efficient, and it was named that way from what I read, because, for exactly that reason, for efficiency. Spyderco made a drop point blade that was small, and by small I mean, it's 7 inches overall, but a 4-inch closed blade, so it fits kind of well in your pocket. I hijacked the pocket clip off of it to use for the Mannix, which I didn't have a pocket clip for, but it does normally have a pocket clip. Tip up carry, ambidextrous. This Spyderco has a backspacer, so it does make it kind of whoops, that was a fail. A stout little carry, because you can get right up there on that choil, get a full grip on this little guy, and you have a nice flat ground HCR 13 blade. But it's efficient in the sense that you're getting the full quality, the Spidey hole, the full quality flat ground Spyderco blade design in what they call a drop point. Now, how this differs from what they call the leaf shape, I'm not sure, but in a drop point blade shape. So you get the features of the flickable Spidey signature Spidey hole in an efficient design. And again, it normally would have a pocket clip. So they call this a drop point blade on this particular one. You can see that it has a jimped index finger choil, and it does have some jimping on the top for your thumb, leaving the rest of my hand plenty of room to get a full grip on this handle. I'm going to try to do this in my left hand. I am totally right-handed, so excuse me as I fumble with my left hand trying to show this to you. I'm standing on a particular side where I have to use the left hand. Okay, so right away you notice it is a liner lock. It does have skeletonized steel liners, and it has a fairly large cutout on the show side to access the liner lock. Now, I like it and I don't like it. I like that it's nice and easy to access without any jimping there. I love that because I'm hit or miss on jimping on the liner locks on knives. But on this particular one, because it's such a big cutout, you absolutely don't need it, and it makes it very easy to grab. And when it falls, your that choil, that index finger choil, is what hits your thumb. And then it can just kind of either wiggle it shut, which is not so smooth about yet, or just close it. It runs on phosphor bronze washers, which is fine. I barely use this knife because it is an exclusive, meaning that it comes from a retailer, and I am forgetting the one. I want to say it's like Blue Creek or Blue River, Blue Mountain uh, dealers or something like that. So when I got this, which was right off the bat of my journey, it was special to me because not only was it a Spyderco, and yeah, it didn't matter what the retail price was. It mattered that it was a gift. It was a Spyderco, and as far as I could be, was concerned, it was an exclusive. So it's pretty much not been used. It's been I don't want to say a trophy piece or a what do people call it? I can't remember what people call it, like a safe queen or whatever. I would use it around the house if necessary, but I just having all these other ones and having this being an exclusive, I decided I tried to maintain it as best I could. So let me tell you. Let me grab my little notes here. Yeah, HCR 13, 7 inches overall, a 4-inch handle rather, and a 2.98-inch blade, coming in at 4.1 ounces. Ergos, like most Spydercos, it's comfortable. It's actually surprisingly comfortable considering the shape and the design. Action, uh, probably if I used it more, those phosphor bronze washers would kind of buff themselves up a little bit, and it would probably fall shut a little more than it does right now. But considering what it is, the action isn't that bad. Obviously, deploying is great, like really most Spydercos with the Spidey hole. And you can also roll it out with your thumb or flick it with your thumb. Okay. And again, it's kind of, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's kind of unique that it has a stainless steel backspacer. It gives it kind of a robust, sturdy design for such a small Spyderco. And the price tag on it, as far as I know, and I'm just kind of going off the top of my head / what I saw when I made my notes the other day, is about, I want to say it sells for about $45. I'm not sure if the exclusive portion of this makes this particular one any more valuable. To be honest with you, I'm not sure what exactly is so exclusive about it. I'm not sure if it's the brown scales, or what exactly was so exclusive about that model. But that's the Spyderco Efficient. People have mixed thoughts on it, especially with that big cutout for the liner lock. I don't know how I feel about it. I just don't. I typically hate huge cutouts, but again, I love how easy it is to close. Okay, moving on to I've been calling this the Tenacious for the longest time just because I wasn't quite sure. It is actually the Resilience, which as far as I know is the large. Let me walk on the other side of this tripod here. As far as I know, is the largest of the value family Spydercos. It is definitely 9.5 inches overall, so I'm holding it pretty far back. You can see it spans right across the screen probably for you. It's got a 4.25-inch blade with a 5.25-inch handle. It's got G10 scales with full liners. They are skeletonized. I'm not sure if, yeah, you can see them pretty good right there. It has one, two, three back spacers, or not back spacers, whatever you call those things. You know what I'm talking about. The things, and a lanyard hole. It does have kind of a strange Spyderco-esque Spidey clip where it's not only the like spoon or hourglass design, it goes around the lanyard hole, so the lanyard goes right through the pocket clip. It is a liner lock again. However, on this particular one, compared to the efficient, take a look at how much more cutout you have on the efficient. So you have less cutout on the resilience, but you do have that jimping. Now, the good news is this is a big knife, especially for my smaller hands, and I'm trying to hold it back so you can see it, but it is just a big knife to show. Usually jimping on liner locks bugs me. Bugs me like as in it bugs my hand. But it's not so bad on this design. Uh, Unlike the, like the paramilitary 2s or the para 3, it doesn't have the like rounded top. It has a flat spot where your thumb hits some jimping right here. Also made of HCR 13 MOV and also made in China in their Chinese plant. I believe Spyderco makes, they have a US factory, obviously in Colorado. They have the Taichung, Taiwan, which is renowned for having probably their best fit and finish. And the American one's good too, but everyone kind of thinks speaks well of the Taichung, Taiwan plant. They make them in China for mostly their more value friendly folders. And I believe there's one more, and I'm trying to remember. I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but that's okay. What else did I want to tell you about the resilience while I had you here? HCR 13, also phosphor bronze. It's also that full. It's got the traditional, full flat grind. So for that that 4.25, that's a tongue twister. For a 4.25-inch blade, you get the full flat grind Spyderco, typical Spyderco grind. This is a knife that I'm not afraid to take out and use in the yard for yard work, cutting. I don't want to say branches. What are like brush or whatever I need to do while I'm mowing the lawn or any type of work like that. Really, this could be used as a hard to use knife. It is big though. It's big in pocket. It's big in hand, especially if you have smaller hands. I mean, look at when I put my if I put my thumb on that jimping, I guess it doesn't look so bad, but look at where my index finger hits, right on that liner lock. And can you see the imprint of the jimping on my finger as I squeeze? That's why I'm not a huge fan of jimping on liners. But I get totally why it has to happen. And where is my little cloth? Because this is filthy. This has definitely been used, not abused, but used, and is a knife that I am happy to pull out when I have heavy work to do. Being 8CR, it is an easy sharpen, and being big, it's great for those bigger tasks. The Para 3. Any follower of my channel probably knows my deep love of not only Spyderco, but of the Para 3. Specifically this one, it came at the same time as these other two as a huge gift from somebody who I can never thank enough. Got my start on the channel with having content to use. But these are blades that I would have not been able to get, at least so soon. I would have had to have definitely budgeted and saved for each one individually, including the value ones. But the Para 3, I would have never gone for the full black version had I been shopping for it. But because I got it that way, it is what it is. right? But it also grew on me, and now I really like it a lot. Especially now that I've used it so much. Um, that my big concern with fully blacked out blades is that when as you use them, I'm afraid the coating's going to come off and it's going to look sketchy. It's going to look terrible when the coating has all kinds of scratches on it. Now, it's going to happen eventually. If you continually use your knife, it's going to happen. The coating is going to wear. But considering how much work this has been through with its previous owner, and then how much work it's been through with me, and how much pocket time it's been had with me, um, I'm not too concerned. As it starts to happen, I'm not concerned about it. This has been in my pocket one of the probably the most out of any knife I've had or have to this point, just because of how long it was my favorite. And it's not even that it's not my favorite anymore. I just have so many different ones that are up there that I can rotate more. What's the word I'm thinking of? Uh, Without guilt. uh, where this knife, but you know what? I have to tell you, no matter what happens, let me back up. Did I tell you? Yeah, this does. Yeah, we talked about the clip. Okay. This this out of all the four that I have had and handled and used is the most ergonomically best fit for my hand size, whatever. Um, when I use this, it's like literally an extension of my hand. I know right where everything is without looking. I can close my eyes and deploy it and put it back safely. I just tighten the pivot so it's just a little bit, it's got to get worn in a little bit more again. Um, but I love this knife. I love that you can creep up on it. It's got the index finger choil. I love the Spidey hole to flick. I adore the compression lock. Okay, it eliminates the problem with the jimping on the liner lock completely. So you can hold it back here comfortably. You can hold it up here comfortably. However I want to put my fingers on this knife, it's comfy to me. And as far as, and there is, you can see some jimping here on the action. It's really not too intrusive either. Like I barely feel it, but it does its job. I can definitely tell it's there. And then you get to the jimping on the ramp, and that I absolutely feel. This particular one is, I believe, their base model as far as the steel is concerned, meaning that it's S30V, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Once I get done going through all four, I'll talk about the steels a little bit. But by far, even over the Manix, deployment, retraction, I prefer this over any other. Gosh, I wish it would just drop fall for me. But I just tightened it like I said, so okay. Anyways, also on phosphor bronze washers, which is great because this is a hard to use knife for me in a compact package. I love this knife. Um, can't say much more than that. I can't praise it much more than that. As far as I'm concerned, I don't like the lightweight version. I've never held it, so I shouldn't really say that, but I am a fan of the full G10. It does have full steel liners that are nested. They're nested inside the G10, so to keep that handle thickness thin, they machined out the G10 and put the liners, I'm trying to show you, but put the liners in there. And of course, the reflections aren't working with me too well, but I think you can see them. Um, you know, if I had to complain about something, it would be the pocket clip, like most people. It seems like Spyderco puts a priority on the lanyard hole over the spider clip, or the spider clip, the pocket clip, which is interesting because as far as I know from reading, like even just the history of EDC knives, Spyderco kind of invented the pocket clip. So you would think that they would be the ones to be, like the. It seems that most people who are hardcore Spyderco fans who get say a pair of three and that's going to be their knife, a lot of them upgrade to ooh, a little spider, get away. Uh, Upgrade to the, I think it's like MXG or Lynch clips, and I have yet to do that. At some point in the future, someday I will when I have some. Every time I have extra funds, I tend to buy another knife or something else I need. I have hobby money and bill money separately, so once I spend my hobby money, it's gone. And I never think of grabbing a clip because it's kind of boring to me, even though I would really love to exchange that for one of those deep carry clips. But as I was saying, I wish that Spyderco would prioritize the clip over the lanyard hole. Um, it does get, wide in the pocket with that tall ramp and the round hole, but I would not get rid of that hole for anything. I would rather keep that and deal with it in pocket than to remove the hole. Um, so yeah, so it's S30V compression lock. Compression lock is basically a liner lock. For those of you who don't know, most of you probably do. The compression lock is essentially a reverse liner lock. So where this has a lock that's built into the liner that you push over to release. The Para 3 is on top, and they call that a compression lock, where you push this button and it falls shut. I love it. I love the compression lock. And it is the only compression lock that I actually have. I've reviewed other knives like the Smock that has the compression lock. Well, it's a button compression lock, but whatever. And then you have the Manix 2, which I also love. And I love it for a few reasons. Again, a gift. All four of my Spydercos were a gift. The fifth one coming is the first one that I saved for and bought myself. And I can't wait to reveal it to you guys and show it to you and use it nonstop and have it on the channel every video I make. The Manix 2 has taken some adjusting to get used to going from carrying the Para 3 so much because of its size, where I can flip the Para 3 every single time, no problem, right? The Manix 2, because I'm so used to the Para 3, I tend to do this a lot, which is unfortunate, but it just is, that's my fault. That's not design error, that's user error. It's not a compression lock, it's a ball bearing mechanism, okay? It's got these things on each side that you pull. So it's okay, let me back up. It's got the blurple, like dark blue, purple, everyone calls blurple scales. It is steel liners. It's got jimping all over it in the right areas, just the right amount, good for bare hand or gloves. Um, the blurple color is their signature for when they use CPM S110V, which oh, you know what? I'm jumping ahead. I'm sorry. I might have to edit this in reverse where I have this. But the Para 3, I didn't mention the length. 7.24 inches overall, 4.2 inch handle, 2.95 inch blade. I think that's pretty much all I forgot to tell you. The blade shape is, that's everyone debates this. It's not really a drop point because it doesn't continuously drop in one direction, but it's kind of like it's a continuous curve, good for cutting boxes, good for slicing, good for really anything. But that tip is good for puncturing. But what shape is that? I'm not sure. It's like a bird beak to me. Okay, I'm sorry. We had to go back to that for a second. This one, the blade they call a leaf shape. I'm not sure what the difference between this and say this is. This is where they call this a drop point. This is referred to as a leaf. Whatever. It's longer, I guess. Probably a little more tip, pointy at the tip, I guess. Anyways, the Manix. This is the Manix 2. It does have a finger choil. It's got jimping in all the right places. It's got jimping all over it. I started to talk about the lock mechanism. It's a ball bearing. So when you pull this, there's like a cage in there that pushes, it's like a plunger, like that pushes and pulls a ball bearing into place, into a notch that locks this blade. It's a very, very strong locking mechanism, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I know that that's a very confusing way I just put that, but as I pull it out of the way, the blade drops. When I flick it up, if I could do it right, it would go up and activate the lock. Now that ball bearing is in place, and that is a hardcore lock. As far as I know, it's pound for pound. It's a better, more secure lock than even the compression lock. I'm pretty sure. This would be, obviously my hardest use knife out of all of these, just because, well, not just because, but because of the model, because of the ergonomics on it, because of the blade, certainly because of the steel being S110V. Uh, this would be the one that I would do my hardest work with. Okay. Size-wise, on the Man X2, you've got eight. It's just about 8 inches overall, just over 8 inches overall. The handle, so a closed length, is 4.6 inches, 4.66 to be exact, with a 3.37-inch blade. Um, ooh, um, it's tip up only, so where you see the Para 3 and the uh, resilience, you can go tip up, tip down, left or right hand carry. The Mannix, because of the locking mechanism, is only it's ambidextrous, but it's left or right. You can't go tip down carry. I was just realizing how kind of strange it is that this can be tip up, but I guess that doesn't matter really. Okay. Um, like the efficient is ambidextrous also, but has uh, has no tip down carry. It's only tip up, which is fine by me. I think tip up should be the way it goes pretty much all the time. Um, this clip, when I got this as a gift, thank you again, as always, had no clip. So I hijacked the clip off of the efficient because I figured, well, I don't really use that one too much. It sits in, because it's that exclusive. So I took the clip off of it. It sits where in its special spot, and I put it on the Mannix. I don't know if the Mannix 2 comes with this style clip or not. I don't know if it has a wire clip. No, you know what? I think the lightweight comes with a light wire clip. I do think that this is pretty much the clip for this knife. It might be slightly differently shaped or sized, but yeah. So with steel, okay, 8CR13 versus either of these, okay, S110V being much higher end, much harder, um, more top of the line, whatever. Even compared to the S30V, this, the S110 would be an upgrade. It's got the S110V has on the Spyderco site they say it's got 2.8% of carbon with a high vanadium and niobium content. So 2.8% carbon with a higher vanadium and higher niobium, meaning than their other powdered steels, meaning it's going to have a higher wear resistance. That those elements provide higher wear resistance and corrosion resistance. Um, these two knives have the CPM S30V and S110V as opposed to 8CR13 MOV. What's the difference really? Well, there's a lot of differences. I mean, they're metallurgically they're different completely, but these two are powdered steels. CPM is actually, I believe, a company, Crucible Particle Metallurgy, I think, or metal Crucible. It's Crucible Particles Metals something, metallurgy or metal. But they're made from a powder form. They're actually made from powder, and the reason for that is so that the ingredients, I guess you could say, as you bake the cake of steel, are evenly distributed throughout all of the steel that you have, versus the possibility of the steels having different, amounts in different areas. I guess that's kind of the simplified version that I understand. So powder steel would be an upgrade because all of the elements would be sprinkled around in just the right way. Imagine whipping up a cake. It would be like if you whipped it with an electric mixer versus by hand, I guess. There'd be no flour pockets, if you know what I mean. Ergos on the Mannix. are great. This is the Manix 2. It's not the XL. I have medium, I guess, to even small hands. As I'm looking, it feels like I have small hands. When I hold it back here, it does. I get a full grip. Obviously, it's comfortable. Same with when I come up here. All Spydercos have been comfortable to me so far. But because of the size of it, I do see I struggle. I don't know if it's because of how long I've carried the Para 3, or if it's just big for me. But when I flick it out, I always have to remember to do it I have the Manix in my hand and not the Para. Whereas the Para 3, I don't have to think about it at all. I just can. It's just again, it just naturally comes right out. What else can I tell you? Love the Spidey holes. I'm not a huge fan of companies that put holes in their blades, for no reason whatsoever. Some of them are aesthetic, and that's cool. I get it. But most of them are not. Some of them are to do the flick with, and that's cool also, if that's what the reason is. But some of them go kind of crazy overboard with folders that go all the way down and weird stuff. But when it comes to these, I mean, it wouldn't be a Spyderco without the Spidey hole. It just wouldn't to me. See, as long as I've already had this one, I just still can't get the flick down right because of the size. Maybe my hand's just not so. I don't know. I don't know. See, there we go. And also on the retraction, I'm not sure if it's just part of the Manix. Does the Manix family, does it always like clink that hard? I don't know if you can hear that, but I'll try to hold it up to my face, which is great. Do you hear like when that hits it, it tings hard as opposed to behind the camera is a little harder. It's easier to do up here. Maybe you can still hear it though. See, that's the closing, opening, closing, opening, closing. Of course. So, all great knives, really. I just, these ones are a little bit more on the value side, but I still love using them. There's nothing wrong with 8CR. It is easy to sharpen. Well, when I say there's nothing wrong with that's relative, right? I mean, considering the price, considering the use, considering everything, all things considered, especially coming from a company like Spyderco that does a tremendously great job watching their heat treats. I believe that their 8CR is good. Um, Same with their S30, same with their S110. Some of you may know that the day I got this, um, I went to do something that I wasn't really supposed to do. I did just a touch of a pry, and it wasn't on anything hard, or it was just the slightest touch, and it chipped. So pretty much as soon as I got it, I had to have the daunting task of sharpening, which I hand sharpen, S110V. When before this, the hardest I had was S30V, and the difference is pretty substantial as far as hardness is concerned, or difficulty to sharpen. However, I'm here to tell you, as a beginner, in the journey of collecting, as a beginner in EDC, as a beginner in sharpening, that the hype of how difficult it is to sharpen something, like 8CR is so easy, when S110V is so hard. I didn't find it that way. Yeah, I had to sharpen it longer. I had to pay attention, and obviously, you get fatigued as you sharpen longer. But I didn't have any issues sharpening this, and I feel like I did a pretty good job, all things considered. Um, so, you know, don't necessarily go by what everyone says, and I know the same thing is said about M390. I've sharpened M390. Does it take longer sometimes? Yeah, it does. But not it's not that it's more difficult, it's that it takes longer. So is it more difficult to hold your angle at the perfect angle longer? I guess so. So in that sense, is it more difficult? That's our debate, I guess. But That said, which one of these do you guys like the most? I'm assuming you're gonna choose between these two, but I shouldn't assume that because you know what? Sometimes it's not about the steel. Sometimes it's just the design. For example, I I love the Mannix 2. I love this knife, but I want to love it more. And between the lock mechanism and my inability to continue or consistently flick it well, leads me to this one being still my favorite Spyderco right now that I own. I love the compression lock. It's easier for me to do to operate than the ball bearing mechanism. And maybe that'll change. You know, again, the pocket time and use time varies tremendously from this one to this one. I've had way more time with the Para 3 than I have with this one. So hopefully it's just a matter of my getting used to it. So I just stopped it with my finger. And already as I'm doing this video, you can see, well, of course, that I'm starting to be able to flick it open easier. But anyways, so what do you guys think about not necessarily all of them. What do you guys think about Spyderco? First of all, I know that you know a lot. Most everyone likes Spyderco. I think I do. That's for sure. I know that you know even before I got into this world, I knew what Spyderco was. I knew the name. I knew I liked them, and I wanted them. Um, I didn't know the different models or anything like that. I knew about the Spidey hole, and that's about it. uh, you know, now that I am more familiar with them, I would absolutely pick a compression lock. If I were to sit here, okay, if I had to choose right now between all four of these, I'm going to take these two out of it because obviously I want one of these two over those two. It's just the way it is. Uh, man, it's a hard decision. I really, really, really like the Blurple. I like the satin finish. I like the size of the Mannix. I want this one. I like the S110V. I want this one to be number one, but it's the Para 3. It really is. At least for the next few days. That's a cliffhanger. So, down below, tell me. Try to take the steels out of it, okay? Because there's a huge variant in the steels between S110V, S30V, and 8CR. Mega differences. If you take those things out, let's imagine these were all one S110V, okay? Let's just pretend, or all M390, or all 8CR, whatever. Which one do you like the most? Do you prefer the liner locks? Do you prefer the compression locks? Or do you like the Mannix ball bearing? I know that in an ambidextrous way, probably, you know, like left-handed people probably are going to prefer this because it's, you know, you switch the pocket clip around and it's the same knife on this side. Whereas if I was left-handed, no matter what, you're going to have to get used to the liner lock being on that particular side, whether you switch the clip or not. So, those are the four Spydercos I own currently. The fifth one's coming. I'm super, super excited because it is a very important one to me, and I can't go into any more than that right now because I'm trying to keep it a surprise. I'll explain why it's so important and why it's such a crucial step in my journey when it comes. The expected delivery is, well, if you look it up on one place, it's Thursday. If you look it up another way, it's Wednesday. And things have been coming a day early, so I'm hoping it's the Wednesday one, and it comes a day early, and it's Tuesday, so that it's the soonest. Cannot wait for it to come. All right. So what I'm asking from you guys is, if these were all the same steel, all things being equal steel-wise, which knife would you take? Would you pick if I was going to give you one of these, or if you were going to grab one to take with you, and that's it? They were all the same steel. Which one would you like the most? So I suppose it has to do with shape, size, and lock mechanism. Alright, that's my Spyderco video, guys. I know it's a little bit long, but I'm covering 4 Spydercos. The 5th one's coming. Can't wait. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. For more content like this, consider subscribing and then hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Have a great day.